Hello and welcome to the daily English news program on Azərbaycan Television with the most important events of the day. I'm your host, Lili Hüseynli. Regular bus routes to the liberated territories started on January 24th. AZTV's employees attended the first trip.
Ağdam is an Azerbaijani land where historical, religious, cultural monuments are destroyed, plundered, and the city itself is practically wiped off the face of the earth. Panah Ali Khan's palace is seen on the footage. On the territory where the foundation of the new Ağdam was laid, the passengers of the first trip were provided with detailed information about the history of the city, its current state, the consequences of Armenian vandalism, as well as the upcoming restoration work. Then the passengers visited the Pearl of Ağdam, the Juma Mosque, which had been plundered and desecrated by the Armenians over the years. They say, whoever owns Shusha owns Karabakh. So Shusha is Azerbaijan, and the Azerbaijanis return to Shusha forever. The first bus trips to the liberated territories continue. The purpose of organizing trips of compatriots to the liberated territories is to provide them with the opportunity to walk through these historical places, breathe in the air of their native lands, see the consequences of the destruction and restoration work in progress.
Delegations of Azerbaijan and Iran paid a joint visit to the territories liberated from the occupation. The delegations got acquainted with the transport and other infrastructure projects carried out in Karabakh and eastern Zangezur in accordance with the instructions of President Ilham Aliyev. The delegation, led by the Minister of Roads and Urban Development of Iran, co-chair of the Iran-Azerbaijan Intergovernmental Joint Economic Cooperation Commission, Rustam Ghasemi, who arrived at Füzuli Airport by direct flight from Tehran, was informed about the airport. It was noted that the airport was built in just 9 months. The delegations got acquainted with the work done on the Horadi-Zaghband railway project, which is part of the international transport route in the Zengilan region of Azerbaijan, bordering on Armenia. The importance of the project was discussed, and the importance of Iran's participation in this project was stressed. During the visit, they also got acquainted with the construction of the second airport under construction in the liberated territories, Zengilan International Airport. Then the car tunnels built in the Zangezur corridor and the railway project in Çocuk-Mercanlı settlement were observed. During the visit to the liberated territories, the Iranian delegation was informed about the cities and villages destroyed by the Armenians. The guests also visited the city of Füzuli and witnessed the complete destruction of residential and infrastructure facilities, including mosques. Last week, 4 mines were detected in the liberated territories. The weekly report of the Mine Action Agency says that starting from January 17th till January 22nd, 3 anti-personnel, 1 anti-tech mines and non-exploded ordnances were found in Terter, Ağdam, Füzuli, Shusha, Kubadlı, Jabrail and Zengilan. 67 hectares of territory were cleaned from mines and exploded ordnances. Special hearings will be held in connection with crimes committed by Armenia against Azerbaijani people. The relevant issue was included in the work plan of a parliamentary committee on human rights within the framework of the spring session. Special hearings in Milli Meclis will be tied to legal mechanisms of responsibility for the crimes committed by Armenia during the Patriotic War, protection of violated rights of Azerbaijani citizens as a result of the occupation by the Armenian armed forces, and reparations to the Azerbaijani state on the basis of relevant lawsuits to international organizations. At the same time, in the aspect of human rights, it is envisaged to bring to the attention of a wide local and international audience the facts about genocide, aggression, ethnic cleansing and other international crimes committed by Armenia against Azerbaijan. About 4,000 missing people during the First Karabakh War, including war crimes committed during the Patriotic War. 757 infections with novel coronavirus were registered in Azerbaijan. The 102 people recovered after treatment and were released home. 9 people who earlier tested positive for COVID-19 died. The overall confirmed cases in Azerbaijan have reached 634,488, with 612,594 recoveries and 8,619 deaths. Number of active infections is 13,275. To detect new infection cases over the past day, 5,145 tests and overall 6,070,424 tests have been conducted in Azerbaijan, the task force under the Cabinet of Ministers reported. The political and economic crisis in Armenia after the Second Karabakh War continues to deepen. The resignation of the country's president, Armen Sarkisyan, on January 23rd once again shows the extent eternal power contradictions have reached. Most analysts call Sarkisyan's resignation an escape for a sinking ship.
In Armenia, where resignations of senior officials and mutual accusations have become commonplace since the Second Karabakh War, resignation of the president confirmed that the country cannot get out from the political chaos. Armen Sarkisyan explained that his resignation by the lack of tools that could influence the fate of the country. Quote, "Again, the question may arise, why was the president unable to influence the political events that led us to the current national crisis? The reason again is obvious. The lack of appropriate tools that any government official endows with the only one document, the Constitution. It is in the current Constitution that the roots of some potential problems are hidden. We have a paradoxical situation where the president is forced to be the guarantor of statehood, in fact having no real tools." The clashes between Armen Sarkisyan, who took office in 2018 as a candidate for ex-President Serge Sarkisyan, and Prime Minister Pashinyan are not events of the distant past. The contradictions between the President and the Prime Minister, who have disagreements on various issues, demonstratively manifested themselves in February last year, when the former did not support the Prime Minister's decision to resign the Chief of the General Staff, Colonel General Onik Kasparyan, and then in April refused to sign the document adopted by the Parliament on amending the Electoral Code. Now, the President's resignation confirms that the contradictions between the government and the presidential administration have reached a climax. The resignation of Armen Sarkisyan further deepened the existing apathy in the Armenian society. Political observers talk about the prevailing uncertainty about the future of the country. For example, political scientist Stepan Danilyan writes, "Why did the president resign right now? What events are expected that he does not agree with and does not want to take responsibility as a president? What possible document was being prepared under which he does not want to put his signature? What is the point of leaving this important position?" Deputy Chairman of the Republican Party of Armenia, former Minister of Education and Science, Armen Ashotyan, called Pashinyan's speech shameful for his country. Quote, "As Sarkisyan remained in office on the basis of lies and weakness, he resigned with the same false and weak statement. Because of the clouds covering Armenia, the country will be covered by a new strong hurricane from abroad, on the eve of which Armen Sarkisyan decided to run away." Apparently, the defeat in the Second Karabakh War brought Armenia face to face with deep political cataclysms. In such a situation, the country has only one way out, not to swim against the current, to join regional cooperation and thus to be saved, becoming an integral part of development.
That was all for today. Thank you for being with us and see you next time.